Make his heart beat with devotion and desire for you. In this video, we're going to be looking at clips that will show you and reveal to you secrets of the male psyche, the male heart, that allows you to have the key to open up his heart and feel a sense of devotion, commitment, desire, attraction, and love for you, when in the past he may have been pulling away, losing interest, not committing. Maybe you felt like you had to walk on eggshells and were wondering if you would lose him. Then we're going to turn that all around. I'm Brody Boyd, if you don't know me already, and for over 20 years combined with my wife, Antia, we've been helping thousands of successful women all over the world to get the relationships of their dreams. So let's go ahead and start with some clips I have, and then we're going to be moving into Q&A as well. So make sure to post your comments and questions below to help you with a specific situation you're dealing with. So let's go.
Men don't pick the woman that it took them time to fall in love with because you did so much for him. When have you ever heard a story of, oh, I did so much for him, he wasn't really into me, but like I changed his tire and I cooked him a meal and I complimented him and then I did this backflip and finally he liked me? It's never going to be the case. So if you're finding yourself thinking, but I do so much for him and he's still disrespectful to me, or he doesn't return my calls, it's not going to happen. It's never going to work. It's a done deal. Move on. As hard as it is, you just have to step away from it. Because men don't fall in love like that. We do. We think we're the same and we're not. You think that you're going to do enough, be funny enough, be cute enough, be useful enough. And eventually he'll come around because we love like that. That's how we love. We love with our ears. We're like, oh, he's done enough. He's said enough. He's amazing enough. If he's not crazy about you in the beginning, there is no damn thing you can do to change that. So let's move on to the next one.
Yes, so I don't agree with the sense, the statement that if he didn't fall in love with you in the beginning, there's nothing you can do about it. I believe that a man definitely can shift his orientation to you and start devoting himself to you if you are using magnetic feminine principles, magnetic feminine communication. You can definitely shift the relationship dynamic around. How do I know that? Because we've seen it over and over again with our clients. Now, what she's talking about here is actually very powerful in the sense of, if you're trying to mother a man, if you're doing things for him, if you're anticipating his needs, if you're trying to make him happy, oftentimes that won't do anything. That won't move the relationship forward because it's the reverse. The masculine role is the giving role. The feminine role is the receiving role in masculine feminine polarity. So if you want a man to actually start devoting to you, you actually need to inspire him to start giving to you through basic things like asking for advice, asking for help, sharing your feelings, sharing your problems, giving it up to him. I don't know what to do. Could you help me? Could I ask what you think about that? So you're giving it up to him to step into his masculine role where he starts to invest into you. He starts to help you. He starts to provide and be the protector and the hero. And that's what inspires his heart to start shifting towards you. His love and his devotion gets activated. So something very powerful to be aware of.
Feminine energy is more about softness, nurturing, kindness, grace, playfulness, feeling your emotions, being empathic, more angelic. Disney princess energy is kind of like an extreme, exaggerated example of light feminine energy. Dark feminine energy, on the other hand, is the part of you that puts yourself first. It's the fiery part of you. It's the spicy part of you. It's confident, it's assertive, it's fearless, it's passionate, it's bold, it's mysterious, it's seductive. It's the side of you that communicates your limits. It's the side of you that's in touch with your desires. It's the side of you that protects you. But more than anything, that dark feminine side is the transformative side. Light feminine energy is more about romanticizing your life, being in the moment, being present, while dark feminine energy is deeper. It's powerful. If you really want to change your life, level up your life, or even reinvent yourself, harnessing your dark feminine energy is how you do it.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Now, the key is you might be hearing that and saying, oh, I need to be in my dark feminine energy. I need to bring that out more and be that, which is true. That's important to have that piece of you, to have that element installed. Now, the key is we want balance, because what she's talking about here are the archetypes that we often use the names for. So you can use the name for light feminine energy, dark feminine energy, or you can call this archetype potentially the doormat and the bitch. These are all just parts of us. They're parts of you that you can bring out at any time. Really, you all have this. We all do as humans. Men have different archetypes. They have the nice guy and the asshole. But for you to tap into both of these energies, because there's good things about each one. The doormat, we could call it the light feminine energy, is pleasing. She is warm. She's very soft, feminine, radiant. She's oftentimes this angelic nature, like she was talking about. And then the bitch, the dark feminine energy, she has good qualities as well. So she's assertive. She speaks up. She's willing to ask for what she wants, and sometimes even to the extreme, commanding what she wants, telling people what to do. So it can turn into why we call it the bitch, controlling, competing, criticizing, those kind of behaviors as well. But there's a lot of good things. She's bold. She's self-focused. She's self-expressed. Now, the key with both of these energies is we want to start combining them. What would it look like to combine both of those energies inside of yourself, where you have the softness and you have this boldness? You have both. So you're feminine and you're also high value, feminine and high value. That's when you combine it to become what we call the queen. Being the queen, the perfect balance between those light and dark energies, the light feminine and the dark feminine. So you are the ideal, really the ideal, where you can be soft, you can speak up, but you can do so respectfully, where you're not energetically penetrating a man, you're not controlling him, you're not telling him what to do, but you're still having a voice. You're still holding your value. You're still holding standards and being able to set boundaries with yourself. That's what's ultimately very compelling and magnetic to a man, because he can feel attracted and he could also feel respected and admiring of who you are, because he sees your value and he notices your value. And that's very attractive, even in and of itself as well.
They are the three big flags that a man or a woman should look out for when they're entering a new dating relationship.
Unfortunately, and I really hate to say this because we can't really control this, but your childhood. Unfortunately, your childhood creates an embedded kind of conflict between you and love. When we have a chaotic childhood, what we do is we create a core belief about ourselves that we're not worthy of love, we don't deserve love, or love is painful. And because that's a core belief, we go through life looking for somebody to validate that core belief. Now, if I meet somebody loving even, I will still try and create that core belief and make love chaotic. So I'll sabotage or do something. So unfortunately, you have to look at their childhood. Now, it doesn't mean if they've got a bad childhood, they're written off. But if they haven't acknowledged the impact, you're going to be
the healing process.
You're going to be the punching bag.
Yes, it is so important to start looking at your childhood and the different wounds, the different experiences you have had that have caused you to block off your energies, the energies of yourself, the energies that are open, that are vulnerable, that are expressed, that are feminine, some of the energies we talked about before, because of wounds, because of childhood issues where you have been hurt, you've been traumatized potentially, which has caused you to close up, which has caused you to put on armor or put on a masculine shield that you will bring into new relationships, where a man can't feel your heart because all he experiences is the armor. Or the reverse, where you've become so afraid of being rejected that you've become a people pleaser potentially, where you're just trying to be liked. You're not liking yourself, you're liking the other person, and you're wanting them to like you because you're getting a sense of validation from that, which is where she talks about being the punching bag. So you want to watch out for that and start to look at how you can become a confident woman who's comfortable being open and expressed, who is also then able to have boundaries when needed. There's a great metaphor that I used when I was in my dating journey that is the idea between a wall, an empty space, and a door. So what is a wall? A wall energetically closes up. It doesn't allow anyone to come in or to leave, any energy to come in or to leave. It's closed off and it is safe, right? It's safe being behind a wall. However, you also can't let any good energies in. Now, the other opposite extreme is if you don't have anything there. If you have no boundaries, you have an empty space, anything is able to come in or leave at any time. People can come in and take energy from you, energy vampires, and steal your peace, steal your joy, steal your sense of self even. And you can also find a sense of meaning and getting your value from other people without having any for yourself, because you're constantly reaching out and grasping. And this is where codependency comes from. Now, the most healthy alternative between a wall and open space is a door. Now, what's the beauty of a door? A door allows good energy to come in and good things to come in, and also good things or bad things to leave. and then also is able to shut the door and stop bad things from coming in. That's the sense of boundary. That's where you can set a boundary with yourself and say, no, this doesn't work for me, or no, I can't have this conversation right now. I'm having a hard time not being triggered now or not being disrespectful. I need to step away. I need to get some space and take a break. So your ability to have these open entryway points and closed self boundaries is what is going to allow you also to be the queen, where you are able to be feminine, be open, and be vulnerable, but you're also able to close those doors if a man isn't showing that he's taking care for your heart. He's showing care for your heart. He's taking care of it and wanting to help you, wanting to please you, wanting to make you happy, wanting to lead you, wanting to take the relationship forward. That is when you're going to have to be willing to shut that door closed and be willing to walk away if it comes to that point. So that's a very powerful metaphor to be aware of as well.
Going out, it's a deal breaker for me.
Huge red flag. Same
That for me, it's a deal breaker.
I totally agree.
Why
Like,
why
she
is
can't-
that a deal breaker? Is it because it makes you insecure?
It has nothing to do with insecurity. It's
What
just
is it?
this is a dream world hypothetical scenario. Girls really don't be hitting up guys like this. Would you be okay with your long-term monogamous partner going to a nightclub, bar, or party type environment where throughout the course of the night he's going to get approached, flirted with, and sexually pursued by numerous attractive women, some of which are more attractive than you and could potentially be a better partner than you, and these women are buying him drinks, getting him drunk, and enthusiastically want to sleep with him that night and steal him away from you? You're going to tell me you'd be okay with that?
No, not with that. Definitely no.
So you can see how this can be a little contradictory, because none of you would be okay with it, right? But then you say guys should be okay with girls going out all the time.
So this is an interesting clip because it talks about this dynamic of couples being okay with their partner going out by themselves in social settings or not. They use the extreme example of like a bar or a club. If a woman thinks it's, fine, he should just be comfortable and secure. I'm just going out to have fun with my girlfriends at the club, would be the opposite example of that. The man going out to the club as a woman, potentially, like what it would be like for him if all the women were there the same way that guys typically treat a woman when she's out dressed sexily, wanting to get together with her, wanting to steal her away from the partner. So it's just an interesting thought experiment. And the reason I wanted to share this is because it can help you to be seeing the other side of things, of what a man might be experiencing and what a man might be feeling when you may be doing activities like this or wanting to go out by yourself. And then conversely, if a man is going out by himself and having buddies, how sometimes this may not be okay for either partner. And what's important is to be willing and able to share your feelings about how you feel about that, to be respectful towards him and what he may think about it, and for you to be respectful toward yourself and also share when you're uncomfortable, when you're feeling off about your man going out to environments where he may be hit on by women, etc. So the idea here is to have a healthy partnership. It involves respect for the other person's point of view, respect for where they are, and also vulnerability and expressiveness, like we were talking about before, to share when something isn't okay with you, when it's making you feel a certain emotion, to share that vulnerably and respectfully so the other person can know, they can understand your perspective on things and seek to change their behavior to make you happy. Because that's the ultimate goal. If a man really wants to make you happy, he's going to make those shifts and want to adjust to meet those needs that you have if it was shared respectfully and vulnerably. That's the key, which we help you with. And here's the other clip we have today.
Had a fight, how would you make it up to me? Contestant number 1.
Hey, how are you?
I missed you.
So I would gaslight you into you thinking you're the problem, and then I would abuse you emotionally till you get to a point where you only get satisfaction from me and if I tell you you look good or anything like that, and then I would start slightly treating you better so you'd think I'm changing. And then it would be this off and on until you're almost hooked for life, and I'm like almost like a drug to you, where even when you're not around me and we break up, like you're yearning for me like nicotine. Oh, and if that doesn't work, I'd go to a movie.
If all else fails, a movie, okay.
Have you been caught in a situation like this where the man is gaslighting you and making you feel less than to try to keep you hooked? This kind of push and pull, the pleasure and the pain. because what he's describing here, of course, he's joking about it, but it's an unfortunate situation that a lot of women get caught into, and some guys get caught into it as well, where you are being breadcrumbed in a sense, and you're relying on this hope that he's going to change. That yes, sometimes he's critical of me, or he's pulling away, or he says some things that aren't nice, or does some things that are hurtful, but then he makes it up to me, or then he comes back and he gives me just enough to stay hopeful that he's changing and that the dynamic is improving. So you want to watch out for getting caught in these loops, these manipulation loops that can happen when you also have a lower self-esteem within yourself. Maybe after a breakup, maybe, he's treating you just slightly better than your last relationship, your last ex was, so that you believe, oh, this is a better situation. Now, the way out of these situations, of course, is if you ever notice any of this behavior from a guy where he is gaslighting you, meaning he's saying blatant lies, essentially, trying to make you believe they're true, how does that make you feel? How do those statements make you feel? How does any of this behavior make you feel? Because that's how you start to tap into your feminine core, get clear on the emotion that's coming up for you, and to be able to share that with him and to share how you're feeling so that he can understand. And you have to do so respectfully, because what you're doing in that moment is you're being vulnerable and you're being open and available, which is your feminine energy, which starts to build that attraction, starts to make him come closer to you, starts to make him want to help. And then when you're doing so respectfully, you're showing him also that, well, for one, also when you're sharing your feelings, you're showing that you're high value. You're showing that you have worth, because only a worthy woman believes that her feelings, her problems, her needs, her desires are worth being heard. They're worth getting help with. They're worth having him solve the problem. So you're showing that you're high value in those moments. And then when you do so respectfully, you're also making sure that you're not energetically penetrating him, that you're not criticizing or trying to control him, which will oftentimes just make him pull away more or make him become more potentially a bad partner, abusive in some ways. And then you can see what happens. See what happens when you're sharing your vulnerability respectfully. If he starts to change his behavior, if he doesn't, then you're dealing with a man. You have to do this consistently, which is why we recommend doing a 90-day challenge. So we have our Magnetize Your Man 90-day challenge, where you give it a period of time when you're using the principles that we're going to teach you exactly of what to do with magnetic feminine polarity, magnetic feminine communication, to see how he starts shifting his orientation to you. And if he doesn't shift over that period of time, then he simply doesn't have care for your heart, or he could be a damaged man. He could be a narcissist, a sociopath, have some deep emotional, mental trauma, and which this guy was kind of describing. And that's about 5 to 10% of the male population, as well as the female population. It's a little higher for men, are deeply damaged in this way, and they're just not capable of showing care for your heart. And if that's the kind of situation you run into, which you'll become very clear of over 90 days, it's likely not that case, because most men are having a connection to their masculine core. They're going to start showing care for you. He's going to start showing devotion for you when you use the principles and communication that we'll teach you. And if he doesn't, then it's clear it's that other case. And so that's why you want to give it time for you to learn these feminine principles and learn how to actually communicate properly with him in a way that draws him closer to you, and also give him a chance to start to feel your values, to start to shift his orientation to you, to start to be a better man and to be a better partner and to want to be your hero. So it's going to take time for you both to learn the magnetized feminine and masculine polarity. But once you've both got it, your relationship becomes like a dance, like a beautiful dance where he's leading and you're able to follow his leadership, and he's leading for your pleasure and for his pleasure, and he's showing care for your heart, and he would never do anything that would make you feel less than or make you feel manipulated or abused. So that's the key. That's the relationship we're going for, to make you ultimately deeply happy and satisfied with a highly committed and devoted man that you want in your life. So those were the videos, and if you'd like to take our free quiz to go deeper into these principles, I'll go ahead and put a quick link below. You can go to also magnetizeyourman.com or click the link in the description or the comments or in our bio, depending on where you're watching this video. Highly recommend taking that free quiz. That's going to teach you the principles, start you on the path, and hopefully get you some coaching support from us to help you specifically with the man you're dealing with, and we can customize everything for you and do it for you as well. So with that, I'm going to start answering some questions, because we're going to have some questions coming in. If you have any questions on anything we talked about earlier in this video, some of the clips, some of the principles, go ahead and post your comments or questions in the comments section below now, And if I have time, I'll likely be able to address those for you while we're here live today. So go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to start answering some of these. Hannah said, okay, so there's some spam ones in here. Vicky said, women have more control in that clubbing situation. Yeah, I would say women have more control in the sense of they have more power. Like men are more attracted to women and more drawn to women in a clubbing situation, the attractive women, than men are potentially having women pursuing them and trying to chase them, etc., trying to have sex with them that night. Yes, so there is a different dynamic going on in those clubbing and bar situations, especially when you add alcohol into the mix. So it's just something to be aware of and to have those discussions ideally with your partner on what you're both comfortable with and not comfortable with, so you're not getting into a situation that would make him feel uncomfortable as your man and as your partner, or that he's not getting in a situation that would make you feel uncomfortable as his woman and his partner and his queen. So yeah, that's good to be aware of. So Carmen said, what if you're dealing with a heavy gamer? No attention to anything else, no more. Yeah, it's pretty sad. There's a lot of men being sucked into the gaming world because their real lives suck. They're not finding satisfaction in their daily life because oftentimes men are not being appreciated, and they're not also having the ability to be the hero in their daily life. So now you can shift him out of the gaming mindset by you becoming his video game. And I'll explain what this means. But here's a couple principles. So men like a challenge. The reason why men are drawn to video games is because men like to solve problems. They like to overcome challenges. They like to win. They like to compete. They like to achieve new levels of growth, new levels of achievement, points. And they also like a sense of community and a sense of camaraderie that can come from those situations. It's the same reason why men in history, before we had video games, were often joining gangs, joining fraternities, joining the military, because men have this sports, competitive sports, because when men have this installed wiring within them that is causing them to want to seek a tribal connection and a tribal goals. And so you can become this for him, actually. So you, as his woman, as his partner, you can become his ultimate video game. And the way you do this is you have to start to present him with the ability to solve problems for you and to overcome challenges and to get a sense of camaraderie and connection and to be a part of something bigger than himself and to be the hero and to win. So that's why we teach you magnetic feminine polarity and magnetic feminine communication, because these principles and these teachings that we give you and that we'll coach you on, they continue to allow you to activate the wiring in the male loopholes inside of his brain that make him see you and interact with you as him being the hero, as him being able to win, as him being able to solve your problems and being able to help you. So we go much deeper into this in our courses on how to do this and how to really activate the hero instinct within a man. But some of the basic principles are asking for help, asking for his advice with things, sharing your problems, sharing your feelings authentically, allowing him to solve the problems, giving it up to him. I don't know what to do. Could you help me with this? Could I ask what you think about this? And then when he actually starts to solve problems, when he starts to help you with things and does things for you, to share appreciation, to let him know that he's won, he gets the points, he gets the trophy at the end of the race, at the end of the challenge, at the end of the tunnel, where he gets to feel good. Thank you for being my hero. You could even use those specific words. I appreciate you. You make me feel so happy when you do these things for me. Or I love when we spend time together. It makes me feel so excited and joyful. So you can actually share from your heart how he makes you feel, the positive things he makes you feel, as well as the quote unquote negative things, but you want to do that very respectfully using magnetic feminine communication that we'll teach you. so that he's activated, so that now you get into this dance where you're able to share vulnerably and openly, because the feminine shares problems and shares feelings. The masculine is solving problems and leading and making things happen and getting outcomes. So you create this masculine feminine polarity within your relationship where now you become more interesting to him than the video game. You become the video game. You become the prize. And yeah, that's the big key, to shift him out of that mode. Now, beyond that, of course, you want to share how it makes you feel. So in relation to the gaming situation, what emotions does that bring up for you? Does it make you feel sad? Does it make you feel anxious? Does it make you feel afraid? Does it make you feel nervous, confused, confusion? You want to share those. You can share those things with him as well, and openly and vulnerably and respectfully have that conversation, which I'd recommend getting our coaching support with that before you have that conversation, because we'll help you script it out exactly what to say and what to do to have a powerful conversation with him, where you would share. You'd say, could I share something with you? And he'd say, sure. And say, I feel sad or I feel anxious and he'll say, why? Because he gets to feel your heart. And then you can explain more of the problem of the video games, the gaming situation. You do so respectfully, and the stories you're telling yourself about it, and then giving it up to him to start to take the lead. And so that's all something we're going to help you with. But that's the starting zone, where you would first turn yourself into the video game, and then with the relation to the gaming situation, share your feelings about that and allow him to solve that problem for you, because now that creates a video game in and of itself. Because video games, they also have many challenges and they have objectives, and you can give him those challenges and objectives in a way that he wants to solve them for you. He wants to achieve the goal because it'll feel good to him at the end of it. Because here's the other thing, men, they need to feel a sense of purpose. They need to feel a sense of meaning for what they're doing in the world, and that they are needed, and that they can provide value, and that they can be the hero for somebody. Because ultimately, if you can do that for him, it's going to feel much more authentic and much more real and much more purposeful to him when he could be the hero in the real life, in the real world, rather than just a hero in a video game to his friends, where it's not really meaningful. It doesn't really change the world. It doesn't really help anybody. So that's what I would recommend with that, and start pointing you in the right directions. Stephanie said, what does it mean when he says, I got you? That's a great saying. I would imagine, because we never know for sure what he actually means, you could always ask him. What I would first recommend is when he says that, I got you, you can ask him, could I ask what that means to you? Or could I ask what you mean by that? So it's always great to ask clarifying questions in a respectful way, so that allows him to clarify with you. Oh, when I say I got you, I just mean I'm here for you. I want to protect you. I want you to feel safe. I don't want you to ever feel uncomfortable, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to be happy. So you can ask him what he actually means by it. That way we can avoid misinterpreting him or trying to read too much in between the lines and making up stories, because they're all stories. We don't actually know what's going on for him. And likely, those are some of the reasons why he said that, is because he does want to make you happy. He does want to make you feel safe. He does want to be there for you. And it's just his way of verbally doing that. Hopefully he's also doing that with his actions and showing you that he's consistent, that he's showing up on time, he's communicating with you somewhat regularly, and through calls, through text, through in-person meetings. There's other ways that he can show you with his actions that he's got you, rather than just saying the words, because words can often be cheap, as we know. And then Joyce said, what if you are dealing with a dismissive, avoidant man? Yeah, so if you're dealing with a dismissive, avoidant man, then it's even more important to use magnetic feminine communication, because a man needs to know clearly what's going on for you emotionally, because a dismissive man is going to be more afraid of your emotions and afraid of hearing emotions. That doesn't mean you don't share them. It just means you share them in the right way. So he needs to know how you're feeling, and he needs to know what's going on for you, but you can do so in a respectful way that's not penetrating him energetically or telling him what to do or whacking him on the head with your emotions, but allowing him just to witness it, just to see your emotions, almost like you're sharing them with God, or just putting them out there and saying, I feel sad, or I feel scared right now, and I don't know what to do. Could you help me? Could you help me, please? That's the kind of communication that allows a man to feel safe to receive it, and to not feel like he's being his toes are being stepped on or he's being controlled or manipulated, but just that he's able to witness and see what's actually going on for you, and then to step in voluntarily to want to help. So you still need to share your feelings and emotions and desires and your needs, but you need to make sure you're doing it in the right way, and then watching how he reacts. Because likely with a dismissive avoidant, it's going to take some time, but you start to plant seeds and you start to practice and use the 90-day Magnetize Your Man Challenge. Sometimes we call it the Magnetic Feminine Challenge, and see how he starts responding. It's not going to be perfect overnight, but we're going to look for progress. Progress rather than perfection. Is he putting in the effort? Is he making small shifts to start to show more care for your heart and being more available and being more open and authentic with you as well? Because here's the thing as well, when you're authentic and open and vulnerable with a man, you help him to feel more comfortable to be authentic and open and real with you, to share his real feelings and thoughts. And that's why I often call this the no games method, because it's really the opposite of playing games. You're being so real and so authentic with him, but you're doing so respectfully so that you're not entering into your masculine and starting to lead the relationship forward yourself and using what I'm teaching you as a way to control him and to lead him and to manipulate him. We want to let go of the outcome when you share, because the feminine detaches from the outcome. The masculine is getting outcomes and making things happen and achieving goals. You're simply enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, and sharing vulnerably and openly, and continuing to be in communication with him and letting him know when things come up, when strong emotions are coming up, such as anxiety or fear or nervousness or confusion or anger, that you're able to share that with him so that he can actually receive it and know what's going on and feel your heart. The other thing is, a dismissive avoidant man, he's very disconnected oftentimes from his heart. I know, because I used to be more dismissive avoidant myself, because I grew up in a household where I felt very controlled. And so I had to learn how to open my heart and to be more secure. And I shifted. And being with Antia, my wife, she really helped me to become more secure, because she was able to communicate authentically and openly and honestly with me about what was going on for her. Because a dismissive avoidant man, or actually also the more masculine a man is, the less connected to his own heart he's going to feel, because he's wanting to help other people's hearts to feel good. He's wanting to help. He's being the hero. He's solving problems. He's making things happen. He's providing space so that you can feel, so that you can be radiant, so that you can be in your feminine. And so he's going to feel his own heart through you, primarily. You become like a surrogate. You become like a vessel for his heart. He's like this empty shell. He's like this masculine protective force, this masculine container, like in a tango dance. He's holding the frame. And you get to be radiant. You're like this blooming flower that has feelings and emotions and is flowing around. And he gets to feel his own emotions through you. He gets to then connect to his own heart through you. He gets to feel the sadness. He gets to feel the empathy, or the anger or the joy or the gratitude through you. So that's why it's important to stay open and to continue to share your feelings, but you want to do so respectfully so that he can actually come close and not feel like you're attacking him with your feelings. And that's where magnetic feminine communication comes into play. And I'm just teaching you the tip of the iceberg here on how that all operates within a relationship and what to say and what to do. But that's what's going to allow you to really bring him closer to you and help him move to becoming a more secure man, and to not be wanting to pull away or not be feeling like emotions are scary or painful, but actually that he'll enjoy feeling your emotions, the good ones and the bad ones. That's a crazy concept, right? But what if a man actually loved all of your emotions and thought they were amazing, all of the range of negative and positive? He wanted all of them, because it's like the weather. The weather is not always just sunny. Sometimes it's rainy, sometimes it's cloudy, but he loves all the emotions. And so that's one saying that I often use that I want you to remember, is there are no ugly emotions. There are only ugly behaviors. The behaviors are what will push him away, not the emotions themselves. If you can share the emotions vulnerably and openly and respectfully while being detached from the outcome, they draw him closer and they draw him in. But if you're using your emotions to try to control him or try to manipulate him or to whack him on the head with them, those are going to be ugly behaviors that will actually push him away. So we want to watch out for those. So hope that was helpful. Sparkling Star said, what if you don't have a man currently? Last man I haven't heard from since February. My question is, can you change his mind about you? yes, you could change his mind about you depending on what happened if you're still in communication with him. If you can still have the ability to ask him for a phone call and to ask him to meet in person through requesting it through vulnerable feminine communication, then you could potentially shift the dynamic. If you can have a conversation with him and use what we teach you to talk about the relationship and your feelings and the problem you're having and allow him to start solving the problem, then it could shift the dynamic. And that could just be the start, the gateway to start opening up the relationship to him starting to be in his masculine and solving problems for you and wanting to help and wanting to be your hero. But we need to at least have that bridge of you being able to at least send him a text that he'll receive or a Facebook message or an email so that he can start to shift his dynamic towards you. And of course, there's a lot we can do energetically as well. If you're completely out of communication with a man, we can still work on you to shift your energetics, to shift you being into your magnetic feminine polarity energy that will oftentimes bring a man back around, because I believe there's something that happens in the universe and with God where he's getting the message. He gets to feel it energetically when you've shifted, because of the law of polarity states that opposite energies attract. So if you've moved yourself into a higher level of high value feminine, there's mysterious forces that can influence the man up into his high value masculine to start to reach out to you, to start to want to reconnect. He'll just sense it. He'll get a message from God potentially. He'll say, hey, she shifted. And he'll reach out and he'll say something. So you'd be shocked at some of the stories we have of men reaching out of the blue because the woman shifted her energy and her approach to life, really, and all of her relationships. Because, by the way, being in the feminine, this can apply to all of your relationships, not just with a specific man, but it can apply with your children if you have them, your family, your parents, your friends, your coworkers, business partners, strangers you run into on your daily activities, errands. Like, you can use everything that we're teaching you, how to use respectful, open, vulnerable, feminine communication, and all the different ways that you can use magnetic feminine communication to shift all of your relationships, that everyone around you starts to notice and starts to value you more and starts to value your heart more and wants to help you and wants to connect to you and wants to do things for you, solve problems, be there for you, just be with you, just connect to you, spend time with you because it feels good to them. It's like everyone will start to come closer to you because you're no longer pushing people away with masculine energy or trying to control them or trying to lead them. I mean, of course, you still have to do that oftentimes if you have children or you have some siblings that need some guidance pretty bad, but there's still better ways to even inspire your children to follow your leadership if you can do so from the queenly energy in your feminine rather than just purely from masculine energy of commanding and guiding and leading and telling people what to do or subtly trying to manipulate them to get what you want, rather than inspiring them to want to give you what you want naturally, to just like, here, have some help, have some love, have some money, have some care, have some attention. Like, they'll want to just give it to you because they feel compelled to, because they want to care for your heart, because it's open and vulnerable and available, and it's beautiful when it is open and vulnerable and available, respectfully. So hope that is helpful. Sparkling Star. Sarah said, what if a man has anger issues, but later on he's going to be sweeter after he realizes his mistake? Is that a red flag already? Yeah, it depends how often it keeps coming up. I recommend doing the Magnetic Feminine 90-day challenge, because that's going to allow you to give him some space to learn how to really respect you and care for your heart when you're in your feminine and using magnetic feminine communication, and then see how he responds over time. Give him some time to shift, because what we want to look for is the upward trajectory. Like, he may get angry one day, but then the next day he's apologizing, and the next day he's angry again. But if it's just like this, like, that's not a man who has care for your heart. If you've shared how it made you feel, and you've described the problem to him, and he's still doing it, where he's being angry and maybe saying mean things to you, and then he apologizes, and you're like in this cycle, that's not good. That's not him inspired into his masculine. It is good that he's apologizing, and it's good that he's being sweet afterwards and wanting to fix it, potentially, but is it happening again? So what we want to look for is, rather than like this, I'll do it better, it's more like a dolphin. Rather than like this, we want to look for, is it like this? This is the fish swimming upstream. Is the fish swimming upstream, and are things in general getting better? Is he making more and more effort and making progress? Is he making small progress rather than it just keeps looping back into the same old behavior? That's what we want to look for. And if it is in the same behavior like this, I would say that's definitely a red flag. It's not necessarily a red flag if a man gets angry a couple times. It depends on what he does with that anger. Again, there's no ugly emotions, there's ugly behaviors. Is he attacking you? Is he criticizing you? Is he calling you names? Is he physically abusing you in some way? Hopefully not. If he is, that's definitely a red flag. So what is he doing with that anger? If he's just yelling or mad at himself, or he's just really in a bad mood, that's a different thing. So we want to see also to what extent is he using that anger to hurt you potentially. I would start to set boundaries with that and be willing to walk away, because you also have to be safe and you have to protect yourself. And then you could share how that made you feel after the fact, and hopefully he'll start to make his case on why he won't ever do that again if you're in the queen. And he starts to respect you and value you because he also feels the impact of his actions. That's what we want to look for. So I hope that was helpful. Sarah, Sparkling Star, had another comment. She said, is it normal for a man you're in contact with / dating? I don't need these anymore. Is it normal for a man you're in contact with / dating to be scared of intimacy with you? I would say it's not. I would say in general, a man who's attracted to you is going to want to have sex with you. Whether or not you do, he's probably going to want to. I'd say most men who are connected to their masculine and comfortable in their bodies and are attracted to you are going to want to be intimate. That doesn't mean you need to have sex with them. I recommend waiting till he's claimed you and you're at least in an exclusive relationship before having sex with a man, for many reasons. One of the biggest ones is that a man can shift the polarity dynamic after you've had sex, because you're more likely to become anxious and needy and to start moving into masculine behaviors that try to control him or try to cling on to him. And so we want to avoid that, so we can maintain that polarity and devotion. But the other reason, one of our partners, Kevin, was talking about that in one of his new videos that got released today, that sometimes a man is scared of intimacy because he's insecure about his body or about his sexual performance or about his penis or about if he can make you happy or if he can last long enough for you, or there's a variety of reasons why men might be insecure or feel nervous about having sex, because he doesn't want to disappoint you or just have a poor performance. I remember the first time I had sex with a woman, I was very nervous. Of course, most people probably are. And I was so in my head that it was not fun for me at all. And in fact, it was pretty traumatic, because I'd read some sex books and how to be good at sex and how to make women feel good and please them. And I was just way in my head when we were having sex, and I was not enjoying it. And I was thinking I had to do all these specific things, and rather than just enjoying myself and doing what I wanted to do. So it could be the case for him as well. I don't know if he's a virgin or not, or if he's maybe not had a lot of sexual experiences, or he could just be having insecurities around it. Those are some options. Those are some possibilities. Or at the end of the day, he could also be just not that attracted to you, and he's concerned that he's going to have to force himself to have sex when he doesn't want to. That's just one idea. I don't think that's the case. Or he could be concerned about, will the relationship change if we have sex? These are some things usually women are having concerns about. So he could also be on the more feminine side, potentially. He's afraid of changing the dynamic. Maybe he doesn't want to ruin the friendship. Who knows? We're making up stories here, but those are some possibilities I want to give you so you can listen to your feminine intuition, start to tap in which one of those you think it could be. And then lastly, I'd recommend actually having conversations with him about that. You can share your feelings around that, and also ask him questions respectfully. So ask, like, could I ask why you're feeling scared of having sex? So that's totally a fine question to ask him. Ask permission and ask the question that you want to know the answer to, and just give it up to him to give to you from his masculine, give you an answer, give you his real thoughts about it. I think you'll be surprised that most men will open up if you ask them respectfully what the thing is that you want to know, rather than like demanding it of them or trying to pull it out of them, or hitting him on the head with the question like, why won't you just tell me, and blah blah blah, you gotta share this with me, I don't want to feel disconnected from you anymore. Like, that would be more into the masculine behavior where you're trying to just yank it out of him. So you want to ask, anytime a man is giving you attention or answering questions or helping you with a problem or giving you advice, that's like that's a masculine gift that he's able to give. Remember, the masculine gives, the feminine receives. That's why it's so powerful to ask permission and to ask whenever you want something from a man, his time, his attention, his favors, a favor that you want him to do for you, or a help or advice or solving a problem. Like, just ask for it first, because that allows him to feel good that that he's able to give the gift to you, and that he's able to give it from his masculine, rather than that you're just taking it from him or telling him what to do, or just taking like there's this old saying, the phrase that people use, like, let me take a moment of your time. Let me take a moment of your attention. Or let me ask you something. It's not really making a request. It's kind of just demanding it. And that's not going to feel good to his masculine core, because now he doesn't feel like he got to give you the gift voluntarily, that you were just taking it from him. So that's why a queen will use phrases like, may I ask what you think about that? Or could I ask you why you're scared about that? She does so respectfully, so that a man feels good to actually give the answer, give whatever it was that she wants from him to give, because you want him to be giving and you want to be receiving in the relationship, to have a healthy masculine feminine polarity. So hope that was helpful. Sparkling Star. And Jacqueline said, I was dating a guy for a month, no issues, no discussions of exclusivity though. He came on strong at first. Now I use feminine communication after he backed off for 2 weeks. He said he is busy for the next couple months, and just to let him know if I am in the area. I live in the city and he lives in the country where I am from and where my parents live. Should I just leave him alone? He said he's busy for the next couple months, and just let him know if I'm in the area. Yeah, so there's a lot of things there. I would recommend having a deeper conversation with him, actually. So rather than just writing him off as, I'm just going to leave him alone, and if he comes around, great. You want to make sure you're really using authentic feminine communication, that the polarity was really established to activate his devotion before you just call it quits or just walk away. Because feminine communication doesn't mean that you just sit there passively and do nothing. It means that you are also active, but you're doing so from your feminine. So you're sharing. You're proactive with your sharing. You're proactive with your speaking up. And you could reach out to a man in that sense. So that's the only way. I used to not teach this in the past. In the past, I used to say, if you're in your feminine, you should never initiate with a man. But I changed my mindset. Now I say, you can initiate with a man. You can actually text him. You can call him. I would never show up to his house. That's not respectful. That's definitely penetrating him energetically. And I wouldn't call him unless you first asked if he's available, or if you can have a call, because you want to see it as a gift he's giving you, the phone call. So you make a request from your feminine. You say, could I ask if we could talk on the phone? Or can I ask for a phone call? Or could I ask if we can meet in person? You could even say that. Or can I ask if we can talk about something in person? So these are all requests you can make to a man that are coming from feminine communication. So it still maintains the polarity. You're still in your feminine. You're making a vulnerable request, and you're allowing him to step into his masculine to actually meet your request and give to you whatever that thing is that you're requesting, that you asked for. So I would recommend asking him for a phone call, and then on the phone call, sharing with him your feelings. So how does this all make you feel? Him pulling away, him not communicating as often, especially after he came on strong. And I'm imagining potentially you guys had sex and then he stopped coming on strong, so to speak. So we talked about this before. So that's why it's important, usually, often, always, to wait until having sex with a man, until he's fully claimed you in a relationship. I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm just giving that caveat. So now I would recommend sharing how that all made you feel. Do you feel sad? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel discomfort? Do you feel confusion? And I would share that all respectfully and vulnerably using magnetic feminine communication. We'll actually help you craft the exact script of what I'd recommend saying to him. And we do that in our coaching memberships. And also I would recommend first taking our free quiz that we talked about before at magnetizeyourman.com, or in the links in the description and comments below. Take the free quiz. Hopefully you can join one of our coaching memberships as well. I'd recommend that highly because we'll do this for you. We'll help you craft the exact script to use. And then you would have that conversation with him because these are sensitive conversations and they can go any way. And you want to be detached from the outcome. You know, whatever happens, happens. But it could either turn into nothing or it can pull him closer to you. And likely it will pull him closer to you and make him want to see you again, want to set something up, want to meet. But you have to show him your open heart respectfully so that you're not penetrating him. You're not trying to get something to happen. You're not making him meet you or reach out to you, but you're sharing your heart. You're sharing what your desires and your feelings are and your needs really. And then he's either going to step into that role or not and care for your heart or not. And likely he will because you're being open and vulnerable and respectful at the same time. And he's going to want to help. He's going to want to set up a meeting and he's going to want to potentially start up the relationship. Now, of course, there could also be the logistics of he just cannot meet with you for these next couple months and he's really honest that he's busy or he's traveling. I usually doubt that. I usually doubt that's the case when guys say things like that. I usually default in my own mind to thinking he's not that interested. So that's why, again, I would recommend having that conversation because you could potentially activate his polarity. And like the title of our video said, make his heart beat with devotion and desire for you by revealing that to him. Now, here's the visual I want to give you today. Now, you imagine what it would be like for a man if you were to show up to his house or you were to walk on next to him and your body is completely covered. You have armor on or you're wearing a burqa with sunglasses. You're completely covered. You can't see anything. There's nothing visible on your body. So imagine that visual, what that would be like for a man, how inspired, how excited he would be if when he interacts with you, you're wearing a full-on, completely covered burqa or armor or something's covering you. He can't see you. Now imagine the opposite of that, where you show up at his house and you're completely naked, or you meet up with him somewhere and you're completely naked. And what kind of response that would generate within him? Likely a completely different response, right? One is completely neutral, likely, or even like, oh, this is weird, or why are you all covered? What are you hiding for? I can't even see you. There's nothing there. It's not really interesting. As opposed to you showing up completely in the nude, that's going to generate a different reaction where he's like, wow, I didn't expect that. Likely he's going to be excited about it, especially if you're showing up at his house or in the bedroom. But again, wait till you're in a committed relationship before having sex. But the idea here is you being completely in the nude is going to generate a much different reaction within a man than you being completely covered up where you can't even see your eyes. And now imagine this metaphor is translated to your heart. Are you being that open with your heart, or are you being closed off? Is your heart wearing a burqa, or is your heart completely open and exposed and available? And that's what we're teaching you. That's what we're teaching you here, how to generate a different response in the man, not by being fully nude and naked, but by having a naked heart, an open, vulnerable, exposed, naked heart with a man, which means sharing your feelings vulnerably, rawly, respectful, openly, rawly. I don't think that's the word. Openly and vulnerably, and also doing so respectfully. Because it would be also like, when I say respectfully, that would be like the example of like showing up to his house in the nude and saying like, let's have sex. Respectfully would be like knocking on his door and saying, would you like to see something special? Or or say, I'm ready, I'm available. And then he gets to open the door and be like, oh, wow. That would be like the respectful piece, right? Where you're not just dumping your emotions on him and saying, hey, here I am. I'm ready to have some interaction. I'm ready to have some conversational intercourse. But like, no, here, I'm available. I'm open. Like, would you like to hear what I have to share? Would you like to hear my feeling that I'm having? And then he'll say, sure. And then you get to be exposed with your heart with him. So hopefully that metaphor is helpful as well. Rhonda said, what are your thoughts with a man wanting to remain friends with a female he claims he spends time with only for his dog? They have doggy play dates. Yeah. Well, the first thing I would want to ask is how you feel about it, because it doesn't really matter what he's doing with any woman. It's more important, what are you feeling about it? If it makes you feel uncomfortable, because yes, they could be friends. There's no no romance there. It's completely platonic. But if you feel a little bit of discomfort or anxiety or confusion about it, you should share that with him. But do so respectfully. I want to keep using this word. The reason why I keep using the word respectfully is because, again, for those who are new, the masculine core, the masculine's deepest desire is to be respected and to be trusted. Just like in a dance, a man needs to know that you trust his leadership, that you trust him to lead you in the dance of your relationship or of life. And then the feminine's deepest desires are to be cherished and adored, just like in a dance. In a dance, you want to know the man is taking care of you, that he's leading you well, that he adores you, that he's making sure you're protected and provided for. Those are the two desires on each side. So by being respectful to a man, you're also making sure he feels respected and he feels trusted by you, which makes him feel good. So it's very important when you're sharing feelings, especially around a sensitive subject like this, that you are doing so respectfully, which is why it's so important to have the right communication, because the wrong communication could potentially turn it into an argument. It could turn it into him pulling away and feeling controlled or feeling trapped and saying, like, you can't tell me what to do. It's just my friend. You don't understand. You can't, tell me I can't see her again, or whatever he might say. So we want to navigate these conversations, which again is why it's so important to have a coach or to help us script this, have us help you with scripting this out for you, the conversation, because it's going to be important to have a deeper conversation with him. Share your feelings rawly, openly, vulnerably. I'm using that word rawly again. I'll find a different word for that. Nakedly. I like that naked metaphor. Maybe I'll use that more often. And so that he can understand what you're feeling around that and understand the problem and the stories you're telling yourself, so that he can solve it, so that he can do something about it, so that he empathizes and says, like, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable around it. Like, yeah, it is just a friend, but if you feel discomfort around it and if you're feeling anxious around it, and like, I don't have to see her anymore. I don't have to do that with her anymore. Or we can, just, I can go to a different dog park, or I can I hang out with another friend, right? He'll find the options, because you're not telling him what to do. You're just telling him the problem. Again, the feminine shares problems. The masculine is solving problems. All you have to do is share the problem. Let him solve it. Let him come up with a solution. You don't know what that's going to be, but hopefully it's a good one. If it's not a good one, you can share your feelings around that as well, and that you continue to share. And that's why the 90-day challenge is also important, because it gives you space and time to learn how to be in your feminine and inspire him into his masculine, to want to keep helping you, want to keep becoming a better man for you, and that your relationship starts to shift. So we don't know how he's going to respond, but hopefully it'll be good, and that he will start making progress and perfection. And maybe he doesn't change right away, but you planted a seed and he starts to shift later and say, just to let you know, I'm like, I don't want you to feel comfortable, and I'm not going to that dog park anymore. I'm not hanging out with that friend anymore. We still talk. We'll just keep it virtual, but or he'll find another way to solve the problem, because maybe you also feel like, look, you don't have to not see her again, but I just wanted to understand more where you're coming from, and I just need more reassurance. So it could also be he solves the problem in that way, and you can be more clear with him as well of what your specific desires are when he asks for it, to solve the problem in a different way, besides him having to totally cut her out, which may or may not be even the solution you want. But those are just some perspectives on what that whole experience could look like of you having that conversation with him. And then Timbo said, is there a way to win back an ex that really works? I've been doing the inner work and really working on myself. Yeah, so like I talked about before, someone else had this question earlier, Timbo. I don't know if you got to hear that, but there's two components of winning an ex back. The first one is you have to have, ideally, a way to contact them. If you can't even contact them, if they've blocked you or they just want nothing to do with you, then that's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough route. And if that's the case, then we have to lean on more the second option, which is you shifting into your magnetic feminine polarity, because then the energetics can start to work on your behalf, where you're shifting your energy, you're shifting your life, your approach, you're becoming more, you're entering more into your feminine core and your feminine instincts, so you start to radiate. And those energetics can potentially draw him back in, because I believe men have like a sixth sense through the law of polarity that when you've shifted, they start to shift and they start to become more attracted, because it's a universal law. Opposite energies attract. That's the law of polarity. So when you shift more into that feminine, you could potentially attract him back to you. But if you do have a way to contact him, that's great. And then we just need to use magnetic feminine communication and ideally help us craft a script for you to use. We also have a 7-word text message that you can use that can revive a relationship that's on the rocks or that is completely done, to bring him back to you and have him feeling regret that he even pulled away in the first place. But those are all things we can help you with, and those would be the options to start to win him back. So hopefully that was helpful, Timbo, and gives you some insights into that. And then Sandra said, what about a guy friend you like and you go meet at the bar and he talks to other women and buys them drinks in front of you and makes you feel really uncomfortable, but we are friends? I didn't know what to say. I just started talking to the guy I knew next to me because the guy I really wanted to talk to wasn't there just for me. But after he left, then I thought I did something wrong because I was talking with this other guy. I don't know what to do anymore, and that might really hurt. Your message got cut off, unfortunately, Sandra, with the rest of that. But what I would say with that piece is, so it's a guy friend, so of course he doesn't owe you anything as far as only talking to you, or you're not exclusive, obviously. So, but you can still share your feelings with him. And that could actually be the bridge potentially from him becoming a guy friend to becoming a potential romantic partner, is to request a time to talk to him on the phone or in person and to share your feelings and just say, could I share something with you? Sure. I'm feeling some sadness. Well, why are you feeling sadness? Because we were at the bar the other night and I noticed that you were talking to other girls and then I was talking to this guy, but I realized I really wanted to talk to you, and I'm telling myself a story that's really silly. You know, we're just friends, and it just kind of confused me and I don't know what to do. And so you're giving it up to him. And you could even add to the end, can I ask for some help? Or can I ask what you think about that? So that'd just be an example of one thing you can say in that conversation. I just got it off the top of my head. But then likely you're going to have a conversation about it, and we'll go deeper into what else to say after that and what to do next. But that can get you started to actually open up the doorway to having a conversation about your real feelings and having him share his feelings potentially and respond. That could potentially shift your relationship with him into a real relationship. But that's all you can really do. Either that or let it go. Let it go and don't say anything. But what I'm a big fan of is practicing magnetic feminine communication, magnetic feminine polarity with everybody. So you're going to use it with everybody. Once you've really learned the principles and learned what we teach you, you're going to start using it with everybody in your life, ideally. So you can get in the habit, what it feels like to be in your feminine, to really be living your life from your feminine, so that when you're with a guy that you're interested in, it just comes out naturally. You know how to be open. You know how to be available. You know how to communicate your feelings, and you're like an open book. And you're also respectful towards him, and you're trusting, and you're appreciating him, and you're admiring him. And so these things come out naturally when you're in the practice. And so if you're using a 90-day magnetic feminine challenge, you're able to get into this habit naturally, so your life transforms and people just want to give things to you, and guys are pursuing you, and this guy potentially starts pursuing you, and your whole life can shift. So those are really the options, because if it's a feeling, you should share it. You can share it, and oftentimes you should share it, as long as you're doing it in the right way. If you're using a feeling to try to manipulate a man or trying to control him or to try to just cry to get him to give you what you want, that's not going to work. But when we do it in the right way, you can pretty much be an open book at all times, being available and sharing, so that men are inspired to want to help and to connect to you because they feel that attraction. Hope that was helpful. Sandra, Lauren said, question, does the 90-day challenge work if a man is currently not engaged and completely silent? Yeah, so it's like the same kind of questions we got before. As long as you have the ability to communicate with him so that we can actually use magnetic feminine communication consistently, which will help you with what to say and what to do, then yes, that's going to shift your relationship with him. Now, if you can't talk to him, if he's blocked you, or if he's, won't even respond to your text, it's going to be a bit challenging. And we'll have to use then the energetic components. And now the good thing is, when you do the 90-day magnetic feminine challenge, your life is going to shift no matter what. Like when you do it, you're going to win either way, because you're going to win because you're going to get the guy you want to start pursuing and devoting himself to you for life. Or you're going to win because it becomes very clear that that guy wasn't the right guy for you, or that he doesn't have any care for your heart, or that he was emotionally or mentally broken in some way, which again, about 5 to 10% of the male population is deeply broken and mentally and emotionally, I'll say and or emotionally, like narcissism, sociopaths, extremely avoidant attachment. And those guys aren't going to shift, but then it becomes very clear and you're able to then move on with your head held high to set a boundary with yourself and walk away from an unhealthy relationship. And then after that, very quickly attracting in a high value masculine man who does devote himself to you, who you're excited about, who you're attracted to, who wants to take care of you, who wants to be your hero, protector, provider, and husband potentially. So either way, you're going to win. You're going to get the relationship you want ultimately. It may not be the specific guy that you want, although oftentimes it will be. Most of the time it will be. But if it's not him, it's going to be somebody better, and it's going to be a relationship that's much better. So that's the goal. That's our goal for you, is ultimately to get you in the right relationship, a healthy, loving, long-term committed relationship with a man you're excited about, who's high value, who's masculine. And sometimes it may not be the specific guy that you're thinking of right now, because sometimes you get what you want or you get what you need, not always what you want. And what you need is actually going to be much better, and that actually will later on become even more so what you wanted than what you thought you wanted. And there's an old saying we like, which is God's rejection is God's protection oftentimes. So if God is saying this isn't the right man for you, and he makes it clear through, presenting you with us and these trainings and the process and going through the challenge, and it becomes very clear at the end of that what God's plan is actually for you in this relationship, if he wants you to continue or if he doesn't want you to continue. So that's the journey I recommend going on, Lauren. I hope that was helpful. And then I'm just going to answer a couple more here. Timbo said, great advice. You're welcome, Timbo. Sanada said, being vulnerable with him, he always responds with desire to help me, makes me a priority. But then when things are good with us, he goes back to wanting to put me as an option, so the cycle starts. Yeah, so again, what we're looking for, Sanadia, is we don't want you to be on this. So if your relationship is like this with the ups and downs and nothing's really progressing forward, that's not good. And that's where I would recommend getting some coaching support, and we're going to help you to shift that. What we want is the relationship to look like this, where there's still going to be moments where he pulls away a little bit, or he's not giving you exactly what you wanted, or he does something that was, slightly hurtful, but that the general trajectory is him showing more care for your heart, making more effort, so showing more progress, wanting to make you more happy, and that things are getting better over time. That's what we're looking for. Again, that's why the 90-day Magnetic Feminine Challenge is going to be really helpful to you, because it gives you that period of time to use with him to allow things to actually get on this trajectory rather than on this trajectory or this trajectory, the downward spiral. We want to avoid the death spiral. So it's good. You're already using some of the right things. You're being vulnerable. He's responding well to the vulnerability, which is awesome. That's good to hear. He's showing care for your heart, because, by the way, this is the best test of a man. Using what we teach you, magnetic feminine polarity, magnetic feminine communication, it's going to be the best test of a man to see what kind of man he actually is and how he responds and how much care he actually has for you. And we're going to see that over time with the challenge, and you're going to be able to see which way he starts moving in the trajectory, if it's neutral, up and down, or positive, or if it's going downwards. Likely it's going to be either neutral or up. Most likely it's going to be going up. But over time, if he's not shifting, then he could be a broken man. Remember, there's some men that are just emotionally damaged, emotionally broken. They're not capable of it. But I believe with you, Sanada, likely if we make these shifts and we start doing things in the right way, because you have the vulnerability piece now. Now we also have to increase the high value piece. You want to be a feminine, vulnerable woman, but you also want to be a high value woman. That's what we talked about in one of the videos earlier today that we're watching on this live stream, is how do you combine both to be the queen? And the high value piece is going to be about sharing your feelings as well, speaking up and being courageous and bold with the emotions you have around him, pulling away and not making you or treating you like an option and not a priority in some moments. How does that make you feel? And having a conversation with him around that and seeing how he starts to shift after those conversations. So those are some of the things I would recommend. It's going to be some slight tweaks likely, and getting you into building up more of your sense of value within yourself and within your relationship with him, so that he sees you more and more as a high value woman, and continuing to build upon your vulnerability and your openness with him as well, and sharing your heart. So now we have both. Now you're the queen. Imagine then putting the queen crown on your head, because you have both of those things. High value feminine woman. So hope that was helpful, Sanedia. And then Sparkling Star said, wow, that was very encouraging. Thank you. You're welcome. Glad this was helping. And then, yeah, I think that was basically, we have a lot of questions. I think that's about as much as we can get to today. So the last question was Sparkling Star said, how do we join the 90-day challenge? We mentioned that a lot in this training because it's very powerful. It's very important. So again, one of the only path to get into the 90-day challenge, the best path and the only path to get into it is take our free quiz. So if you haven't yet, highly recommend everyone here take our free Magnetize Your Man quiz to get the relationship you desire. All you have to do is click on the link in the description or comments below this video or in our bio, depending on you're watching it, or you can go to magnetizeyourman.com. You're going to get our free quiz. We have some powerful trainings in the quiz itself, some golden nuggets, some principles, some training based on your situation. And then you're going to get recommended at the end of the quiz a specific plan, what kind of coaching we'd recommend or what the path will look like. We'll talk more about the 90-day challenge, how to get involved with that. And so hopefully we can really help you and get you on the right path with this and support you, because that's what our coaching groups are for, and our courses are really to help you take this to the next level, to get the advanced principles, and also where we do it for you. We customize it for you specifically so you don't have to wonder anymore. Like, we will do it for you. We'll give you the specific scripts and exactly the step-by-step what to do. And we do so, especially with our coaching groups, very affordably and very powerfully, because we're there for you, we're active, and you have 24/7 support. And we really guarantee that we're going to get you on the right path with your guy to get the relationship you want. Like, that's how powerful it is, and that's what we recommend. So again, take the free quiz, highly recommend it. Everybody can do that. Easy place to start. And I'm so excited to hear more of the success stories and how things are progressing for you and getting you on the right path and helping you really master your relationships and transform your life, because you'll be shocked and surprised when you see how easy it actually becomes to trigger a man's desire instinct and his devotion instinct, and to do so with the right words that draw him closer to you, rather than if they were slightly off, they actually will end up pushing him away and causing him to lose more interest or not give you what you want, or to choose another woman, potentially get out of the relationship. So we don't want that. So we're going to avoid that, and we're going to get you on the right track. So much love. Hope this was helpful, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.